Hey there, and welcome back to Temporary Locals.
I'm Jared.
And I'm Megan. This week, our guest is taking us on a Himalayan adventure through Bhutan. But before we get to that, if you're new here, welcome. Jared and I are a travel-loving couple swapping stories from our own adventures and also sitting down with guests who take us and you to places that we haven't explored yet. So whether you're planning a future trip or just here for the storytelling, you're in the right place, and we'd love it if you'd subscribe and join us for the ride. We drop new episodes every week. Today, we are really excited to have a special guest joining us, James Hammond. James is a traveler, travel vlogger, and fellow podcaster who hosts the Winging It Travel podcast. He recently traveled to Bhutan, which is a place that we feel isn't really talked about frequently, so we're especially grateful that he's here to share what it's really like. So, James, thank you so much for coming on and spending some time with us today.
Cheers, guys. It's an absolute pleasure. Can't wait to get started.
Yeah.
So to kick things off for listeners who, may not know much about the place, where is it and what made you decide to want to go there?
Yeah, a couple of facts for you. So Bhutan in the Himalayas is between India and China. So
Uh-huh.
if people have got like a visual map in their mind, you sort of go up to India, take a right, and there's that weird bit of India, which is like the Seven Sisters, which is like the eastern part of India. Just to the right
Mhm.
of that is Bhutan, and it's sandwiched in between those two huge nations. So it's a cultural mix, which we'll come to, I guess, in the episode. And they're carbon negative in the world, so that's quite unique for a country. So they're very hot on the climate change stuff and making sure they don't trash the country and looking after their nature. It's
Uh-huh.
very expensive to go to, which we'll come to because you have to book a tour and pay a daily fee, which is $100 a day. And the reason I wanted to go there for about 5 years, I actually interviewed on my podcast a couple of authors who wrote a book called the Bhutan Travelogue. So if you want a real crash course into Bhutan, you can get that book, and they cover everything from the currency to the language to the customs to the food, places to see and do. So that kind of inspired me to go there. And because I still technically have a job, I thought I better go there whilst I have a job because it's expensive. So I thought I'll take the leap late last year, and yeah, what a trip! Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I got to optimize the, variables there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you don't want to go there if you're backpacking around for a year and you're getting low on budget. That's for sure.
Right. Yeah. As we kind of already touched on, Bhutan is it's a place that I don't think a lot of people necessarily know about, at least, in as far as the more popular destinations that people travel to. Um And I know just from like looking at some of your content, it looks like a really incredible place. So would you say, I mean, is it fair to say that it's underrated?
100% underrated. Yeah. If you want to feel, it's probably a bit more like Tibet more than anywhere else because they have Tibetan Buddhism as their main religion. Maybe somewhere like Ladakh in India might be fairly similar, and Nepal as well.
Uh-huh.
But these guys, yeah, they they're very underrated. But it's because it's not talked about, it's not written about that much, and not many people go because of the cost. So they've kind of got that weird space. It's like traveling in the 90s where you don't know what Thailand's like because it's not all over social media and the beach film hasn't been out. And yeah, it's kind of
Mhm.
like that hidden, like, I don't want to say gem, but that hidden like adventure of like, oh, what's around that corner? What's in this like mountain area and stuff like this, right? So I did learn a lot on my trip actually with the guides that I had. So it's a big learning experience for sure.
Right. Yeah, all it takes is it seems like one movie, like you said, the movie The Beach, and then
Yeah.
Thailand kind of blows up.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just in popular culture then. But um, yeah, I know you said that like you have to have a tour guide to go there. We interviewed somebody a few weeks ago that went to Antarctica, and it was kind of the same thing. You have to go on a tour. You can't just go there, obviously, yourself. And so there's definitely a cost involved in that. So, um, do you have to have like a Sherpa, or just you have to go on an actual just a tour itself when you're roaming around the country?
Yeah, they actually changed the rules about 2 years ago. It's still a tour company or a tour guide,
Uh-huh.
but you still have to book through a government verified guide or tour company, which you can find on their tourism website. So if you put Bhutan tourism into Google, you'll find their website, and they have a list of all the, I guess, legitimate tour guides and companies that you can choose from. It's quite a long list, so it's quite intimidating. But I had a few guests on the podcast who recommended a company, so I emailed them, went into negotiations, and managed to get a collaboration out of it. But normally you'd go through maybe 2 or 3 and kind of go through the email process of organizing what you want to see on your tour, and then they'll give you a price. And then it's not bartering because it's not that type of country. It's a legit price, right? They'll say, well, that tour would cost this. If you want to do something differently, it'll cost this. And there's different ways of doing it. You can be 3-star hotels, 4-star or 5-star, and you can chuck some homestays or some camping in there if you want to reduce the cost. But no hostels, no like cheap places, if you like, that you can stay in Thailand, for example. So that's one thing. And also, it's worth noting you can only get there from, I think, 5 or 6 airports in the world. I think on our side, Bangkok, which is where I flew from, and Singapore occasionally do fly up to Paro, but the rest of the airports are in India or Nepal. So I think you have to choose wisely which way you go in, because that will dictate how much your flights cost, but also how often they fly. So yeah, these are a couple of things you need to pay attention to. And to give you a rough idea for a tour, my tour was 10 nights, 11 days, 2 nights camping for hiking, and the rest were 3-star hotels, a homestay, and maybe 1 or 2 4-star. It cost $3,000 before tax, including tax and visa costs, probably about $3,300 for 10 nights, 11 days. And on top, you'd have to pay $100 a day fee. So that's another $1,100. So it's going to cost nearly $5,000, right, across the board.
And then plus whatever your flights are.
Yes. Yeah.
And you flew from Bangkok, I believe?
Yes. They every month they release a schedule, so you can go on there now and see on the Bhutan travel website what days they're flying from Bangkok and back to Bangkok. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you're planning the trip, and you go through the tour companies like that, it's a fixed price basically, right? So you know up front, that's what I'm gathering? You kind of know up front like what it's going to cost, other than, what you might purchase while you're there.
Yeah, they'll kind of ask you first what type of trip, because some people want to go luxury. So if you say 5-star resorts every night, it's going to be more expensive. But what they do is they ask you for your comfort level. And that really dictates the price. You get given your price. And then within that price, it's fixed, like you say. And then you can dictate what you want to see and do. And like anything goes, really. I mean, the cost encompasses everything you do on the tour, all the activities. So it depends what you're interested in. I liked hiking, local experiences, learning Buddhism. So I went to a lot of temple visits. I interviewed 2 monks, had breakfast with a monk, stayed at homestay on a farm. Like I got into these experiences, right? And a bit of walking and hiking. So if you're not interested in that and you want to go to learn how to do archery, which is their national sport, or you want to learn some musical instruments, they can arrange that as well. So it's really, or whitewater rafting, it's really like anything you want to do. But yeah, it's a fixed price. And then you start to talk about all the activities and how fast you want to travel within that 6 to 10 days that you're there.
That's pretty cool that, they set it up like that. It seems pretty easy. Are the websites like user-friendly?
Yes.
Easy to navigate?
Yes. Very well done. My company was Breathe Bhutan, and their website is great, like top notch. They have examples of tours that you can maybe base what you want to do on. And I think they give prizes probably as well, I'd imagine. So yeah, can easily go on there, find a contact form, email. Yeah, it's pretty easy to navigate. Yeah.
And had you ever been to that area of the world before, whether it's Nepal or anywhere in the Himalayas in that area?
Yeah, I've been to Nepal twice, India twice, and obviously Thailand I think 3 times or something, like, and Myanmar, which is fairly close in terms of cultural stuff. So yeah, yeah, I'm kind of well versed with that area. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just kind of wondering. I'm trying to set the stage. So, like we flew to South America and we flew through the Andes mountains. And I don't know about you, but like the first time you kind of lay eyes on mountains like that, when you've never really seen anything like that, especially flying over them, And at one point we flew through the mountains. It's just such an incredible feeling, and I'm wondering, like, what was your first time seeing the Himalayas? I mean, what was that like?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? The first time I was supposed to see the Himalayas, it was cloudy. I did
Oh.
the I did the Singalila Ridge trek in India, which is on the eastern side, which would be
Mhm.
near-ish Bhutan, if you like. And it was a 5-day hike, like one of the toughest I've done. And we saw nothing. It snowed, it rained, cloudy every day. We're supposed to see Kanchenjunga, which is the third highest mountain in the world. Saw nothing for 5 days. So that was the first time I was supposed to see something. And then later on, I went back to Nepal and hiked in the Annapurna region. So I saw the Annapurna mountain, which is, I think it must be above 7,000 meters. That's a tall one, maybe even 8,000 actually. And then we went back to Nepal a few years ago and I hiked the Langtang Valley Trek. And you'll see
Mhm.
Langtang Mountain as another tall mountain in the distance there. So they were they're my first real sights of the Himalayas. But that you're in them there, you are set back enough to see them, and it's honestly it's amazing, and you're in it. It's incredible. But on the flight from Bangkok to Bhutan, it was a clear day, and on the left hand side, as you're going to Bhutan, you see Everest in the distance and Kanchenjunga, and that was incredible. I told a tour group in the lineup to the check-in process that, hey, look, have you booked your seats? They're like, our tour company has done it. I'm like, well, go and ask them, can you sit on the left-hand side? I promise you're going to get like views of Everest because I've been told this before. They're like, okay, well,
Mhm.
I'll see what I can do. There's like 10 of them, this Thai group, none of them on the left-hand side, but they're sitting next to me around my area. And when they saw Everest, they're all passing me their phones, like, "Oh, can you get a picture for us?" And it was like this
Oh.
chaotic, like 10 minutes. I was taking like 20 photos and 20 videos for this group, but we all had a quite good laugh about it. And then and when we got off the plane, we had like some hugs and like, "Oh, it's amazing," and it was quite a cool moment. But yeah, so seeing Himalayas for the first time is pretty magical for sure.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah, that's a cool moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite
Um,
funny as well, actually. Yeah, I
yeah,
said on the way
right.
back, sit the opposite side, sit on the
There
right
you
side,
go.
so you can see them on the
Yeah.
way back. Yeah,
And we got to figure out the system. All right, just one person taking pictures, and we'll just airdrop it to everyone else.
yeah. They weren't even asking in the end. They're just like literally just kept passing it to me. I was like, I can just airdrop. Yeah, but hey, language barriers. I
Right.
think they didn't speak much English.
Well, that's one of those incredible travel moments where you're with a group of people who may not be from the same place as you are, speak a different language, but you all kind of understand in that moment that
Yeah,
you're witnessing something special. And so I could imagine flying through the Himalayas like that and seeing Everest would be something really incredible. So that's a really cool story.
yeah, magical moment. Yeah, it's up there for sure.
Yeah. So flying in, kind of walk us through your trip. What was that first day and getting in there like, and how long was the travel day?
Yeah, so only 2.5 hours from Bangkok, so it's a pretty quick flight.
Hmm.
There is one caveat to the flight though, so I don't know if you guys are at ease when flying, but when you fly into Paro from that angle, you fly in the valley in between mountains, so you're going to see the mountain to the left on your window, pretty close to you. I think only 20 airline pilots have a license to fly into Paro. I think it's a pretty I'm not say sketchy, but it's a quite a skilled landing and a skilled
Hmm.
drop into Paro. So I think you have to do extra training or something. So anyway, the fly in was pretty hairy for some people because you're kind of weaving in and out of the mountains. Um, First travel day, landed, met my tour group, got a traditional welcome. So I got some gifts, some wine. This is like 8:30 in the morning, and then they took me straight to like the hotel we're staying for the night, early check-in, which is great. And first travel day was pretty easy, but you got to understand that if you're going to do some hiking and some walking in Bhutan, you need to get used to the altitude. So depends what you do on your trip. Normally they put tiger's nest at the end, which is like the main thing to do in Bhutan. But for me, I was doing a hike, so I was doing that the next day.
Wow.
So luckily, I don't get altitude sickness yet, so that's a plus. So we went to the hotel, had lunch there, got to understand the guys, meet them, have tea, and then we went out to do some exploring in Paro, which is the main city next to the airport. Went to like a display of some sand mandala art, which is like a Tibetan art form where monks memorize, I think, 100 types of art in their mind, and they recreate it on these huge boards. They're like size of like a TV. They're huge. And I saw that demonstration, talked to one of the monks, and then we went out for a hike, which is only an hour in the valley. A nice little gentle start to the trip. And you get your first taste of what it's like to walk through the trails and the mountains and great views. My time of year was December, so very mild in the day, 15, 16 degrees Celsius, and then it drops to 0 to -2 at night. So there's a bit of a contrast. And
Wow.
not too bad. Yeah, it was a pretty easy day in, I think. Just a one demonstration, some lunch, a walk. They gave me afternoon tea at a hotel, which was a 5-star resort. I didn't stay there, but that's pretty fancy. And then, yeah, back for dinner. I quickly realized on the first day that lunch and dinner are the same thing. So you get like 7, 8 dishes of loads of food, and it's that every time. So you got to
Yeah.
control yourself if you don't want to get too full all the time. It's pretty hardcore.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good tip.
So what was elevation in? What was the elevation just in Paro?
1,500 meters. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was going to ask because you mentioned that you don't get altitude sickness, or like so far, I guess.
Yeah.
Good on
Yeah.
you. And so we went to Peru and we went to Cusco and Machu Picchu. And
Yeah.
so we, read up and kind of prepared before, like, okay, we really have to take the altitude seriously and,
Yeah.
acclimate in there. So you said you didn't get altitude sickness, but you kind of hit the ground running and, did some hiking that first day. Do you remember feeling like out of breath or not so much?
Yeah, a little bit out of breath in terms of coming from Bangkok, which is, I assume, pretty much sea level,
Mhm.
to the Himalayas. But 1,500 meters is, I think, for me personally, is not that high up. So it wasn't altitude; it's just adjusting to, I guess, the less of the oxygen levels. Right? I guess that was the thing. But
Yeah.
Tiger's Nest the next day would be double that. So that was on
Okay.
my mind, and I was a bit worried about how quickly I was going straight into Tiger's Nest. And there's a reason they leave it to the last, because obviously they want you to adjust and get used to being in the country, then do that last. But because of my extra hike later in the tour, which I actually didn't do in the end, which we can come to, I thought, well, I'll have to go straight into Tiger's Nest and see how it goes. So that was on day 2 morning. So I wasn't scared, but I was kind of more worried about how difficult the hike would be in terms of the steps and the incline, rather than actual altitude, because I think I'd be okay at 3,000 meters.
Yeah. Do they have any sort of local remedies for altitude sickness? And like I said, in the Andes, they do like coca leaves, and there's all
Mm.
kinds of coca teas you can take. Is there any sort of local remedy that they have for people visiting? I assume that the locals are acclimated themselves, but for people traveling there, or is it just you get acclimated over time?
That's a great question. I mean, I like to think the guys had some sort of medical kit on them in the van. But
Hmm.
I couldn't tell you for sure. They didn't mention it.
Yeah.
I'd
And you
imagine what
didn't
they
have
do
to
is
use
they'll
it.
just go
So
straight back down. I'd imagine. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I would imagine that you're built for it or you're lucky, because I mean, I know that we've seen people, man, there was a lot of people there that were heaving and throwing up and stuff, and they were just not having a good time at the elevation we were at. And so, they have like local things that you can do, that the locals tell you to chew on these leaves or drink this tea, and it's supposed to help with the altitude. So I just didn't know if there was something maybe that they do there differently.
I wasn't told, unfortunately. Yeah, I couldn't answer that question.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, I didn't even think about it. I guess I took it for granted, really, that I would be okay. But if I wasn't, yeah, I don't know what would have happened. But I think they would have just taken me back down to a reasonable altitude, if I had a
Yeah.
guess. But I remember being on the Inca Trail, and that second day when you go over Dead Women's Pass, that's like really high up. And you're
Hmm.
right, some people were absolutely just heaving and crying and just out of breath. Right, it's quite a weird thing to
yeah.
see. That was my
Hmm.
first foray into like really high altitude. I think that was back in 2014. I think. So yeah, that was a different level back then. But since then, I've been to Nepal, which has been a little bit higher. Yeah. So luckily, I think it can come any time, right, in your life. So it's not like you're okay
Right.
now and tomorrow you'll be okay. I think it's totally random. So so far so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I was concerned about altitude sickness because I mean I'm already prone to headaches, and that was basically my only symptom when we were there. And when I was adjusting, I was like, oh my head hurts, more than it normally would. But
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, all good, interesting stuff. The acclimation, the altitude is nothing to play with.
Oh,
But you
absolutely
mentioned
not.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned that you got to collaborate with the Bhutan tourism. Is that right? How did that come about?
Yep. So I emailed Bhutan Tourism Board, the same website you'd go to look at your tour groups, and just said, "Are they interested in a collaboration, which would be like a podcast series and a YouTube series?" And sometimes for creators, depending on what time of year, maybe, and your following and how many maybe Instagram followers you have or TikTok, they love TikTok over there. They might say yes, and they might waive the daily fee. That's one thing. So the tourism board will decide that. And then with your tour company, which is separate, but they do kind of email each other just to get the clarification, you can negotiate like a media fee or collaboration. So I think it all depends on the tour company, how busy they are, whether they're like in a progression phase where they're trying to market their company. So a lot of factors go in. I went December, so it's quite low key, just at the edge of the busy season, maybe going into like winter a little bit. So I think they all kind of said yes, which is quite nice. And so that saved me a lot of money. But yeah, in collaboration, I had to do, well, I was going to do it anyway. I was going to record interviews. I was going to record sounds. I was going to do like vlogging as well. I was doing it anyway. It wasn't like an extra thing. So for me, it wasn't like anything extra. But yeah, I would have to, just to make sure I qualify, I'd had to release some content, which I've done in January going into February. So yeah, interestingly, the tour company, they brought an extra guide along who is a photographer. So I had to do a lot of reaction stuff. Like they would ask you questions for their content, which was a bit
Oh, that's
extra.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, the answer's always no if you don't ask. So
Might as well
that
ask.
is
Might as
very
well.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. 100%.
Awesome.
And did they have like strict guidelines of things they want, like preferred you cover, or did they just kind of let you do your own thing?
I, in my emails, spelled out what I was going to do. I think I said like I was going to do 4 or 5 episodes on the podcast. I was probably going to do 3 or 4 vlogs on my YouTube and some Instagram posts. So they kind of knew what was coming anyway. And that was enough for them to say yes, which is probably more than what most people would do because it's a lot of work, right? So it depends how much you want to do to get like not a free pass, but like, some discount on the tour. But I think the only thing they really wanted me to do was actually for their content was to go on their YouTube shorts, their Instagram reels and their TikToks and just be there on camera explaining what I was doing. I think that's the only thing they really wanted. And then obviously my own stuff to make sure I mention their tour company and say thanks to Tourism Bhutan. So that's kind of the things I need to do, which is pretty easy, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. That is very cool. I want to hear more about the homestay. So
Oh,
is
yeah.
that you're staying with a family, kind of like a
Yep.
exchange program vibe?
Not an exchange. You just stay with a family on a farm and in their house. And traditionally, at homestays, you're supposed to help out at the home. Now it's a bit more of a business, so you can tip them as much as you want. You can just stay there and not do anything. But I want to get involved. So this lady, she's called Amma Om. She's really nice. Like she's probably in her 60s and she's very mumsy. Doesn't speak much English. So I was speaking through the guides quite a lot. But honestly, like the nicest woman you ever meet. We went to milk some cows. I helped her cook the food for the evening dinner. We also churned some cheese and created some butter. So we spent like an afternoon and evening there just doing some stuff around the farm and in the house, which is pretty cool. And I got to interview her for the podcast, which is going to come out in the next few weeks. And she's even more incredible because she actually takes in orphan children to her home, because her kids have been, like, they moved out ages ago. She's got grandkids now, right? So they come and stay sometimes during the year, but most of the time she's got a free house. So she has the homestay as part of the business, but also lets orphan children stay there and get an education and stuff like that. So she's even more incredible, really. And yeah, I was almost in tears leaving her. Actually, she's that nice. And
Wow.
No.
yeah, she's really nice. So I thought, when I got there, I need to help out. I actually had a headache. Actually, you mentioned headaches. I do get headaches as well. So I think the journey was a bit long that day. So I think I just had a headache, and she let me nap for an hour or two in the room, and then I came down and yeah, we milked some cows and cooked some dinner. So that was pretty cool. She was just laughing at me because I was willing to get involved in like cutting the veg and getting like enthusiastic about this cheese I don't know how to make and churning the milk. And I think she's found it funny that I was giving it a go. So yeah, that's good that she
Yeah,
has
that's
fun.
awesome. I would be too. I'd be like, I've never milked a cow. I
Yeah,
want to take
yeah.
a
It's the
try.
weirdest thing.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. There was another family there as well. They had kids, so there was another group of travelers there, and we all hung out for dinner and had a chat as well. A lot of people traveling with kids actually, which is quite interesting. But so you get to meet other travelers there. So she must have quite a big house actually, thinking about it. And the guides stay there, right? Everyone stays in the house. So yeah, that was a really good experience. That actually one of the best things she had is she has a stone bath. So in the
Wow.
evening, you can go out and chill out in the stone bath for 20, 30 minutes, which is like incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like that kind of experience is more authentic than you would get staying at a hotel or even a hostel. Anytime I hear stories like that of people that stayed with a local family like that, it always sounds so appealing to me, and it's that's really what travel is meeting people and learning about other cultures and things, and so to me that's like invaluable.
Yeah, so it's probably the most important thing I like to do on an experience like in the country is try and stay with a local family or do a homestay for sure. And the thing about
Right.
Bhutan to note is the older generation don't speak English that well, but the newer generation, so we're talking maybe our generation, like 30s and 40s, going down to the kids, they all speak, especially the younger kids, they all speak great English, like normal English, because they learn it in
Mhm.
school. So you can interact with the kids there. So in that homestay, she had a grandkids staying over because it's summer holidays, or no, Christmas holidays. Sorry, for the school. So you can speak to their like, yeah, there must be like 8 or 9 or 10, and they speak perfect
Mm.
English. So
Yeah.
it's a weird thing. You kind of want to speak to their grandma, but she doesn't speak great English. So you have to go through an interpreter, or you can just speak to her through her grandkids and just talk about kid stuff or life, right? So I was talking about video games with the youngest grandchild. He must be about 8 or 9. Yeah, so you get to interact on all levels.
Mhm.
That is so cool. What an awesome way to connect with people there.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed that in certain like Spanish speaking countries is you want to practice your Spanish with them, but they want to practice their English with you. So it's like, and I'm trying to speak Spanish, but they want to try to speak English to me. And it's like,
Doesn't really work, does it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No. Yeah, I don't know what the best way to learn. I know a little bit of Spanish because I've been in South America, but I don't know what the best way to learn is. Maybe just drop yourself into a city
uh,
and just get immersed into the culture, into the language, and try and pick it up. Maybe I'm not sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Getting taxis, we found that really helps your Spanish.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Especially a driver that's like trying to talk to you too.
Yeah,
That was fun. We talked about, we were like, if we were to just stay there a month in, back in Peru, I was like, we'd be fluent. I think we could do it.
yeah.
Yeah,
We were pretty
absolutely.
good. We were pretty good by the time we left.
Yeah, and now our Duolingo guy is just dying.
Yeah, he's mad at us.
That's where I first learned Spanish in South America. Yeah, I remember I had to, especially Bolivia, I had to really learn it because no Bolivians really speak English that well. So I had to really get stuck into the Spanish. Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's a
and it's
cool
almost better because it
experience.
forces you to learn it. It forces you to
Yeah,
try. So
yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and you could do all the Duolingo in the world, but like, different places have different dialects, so it doesn't quite translate, It can help a little bit, I guess, reading and stuff, but yeah, speaking and learning a language with someone who knows the language and speaking it with them is definitely the way to go. So yeah, immersion all the way. While
Yeah.
you were in, and I think maybe I said it wrong. I think I said Bhutan. It's Bhutan?
Either or is fine. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I heard you saying it and I was like, man, did I say that wrong?
No, both
um,
are good.
but while you were there, did you go to any like festivals or any like kind of celebrations?
Yeah, I was there for 2 actually, unintentionally. When I booked my trip, I didn't really plan too much. I just booked the flights. But whilst I was there was a major festival called the Druk Wangyal Festival. And Bhutan probably has 12, 13 a year, which are really big. Like everyone gets dressed up, day off, go to the festival. And this is one of them, but not a religious festival. This was a military festival. And
Mm.
culture thrown in as well, but it's a big military festival on the Dochela Pass. So you're probably about 3,100 meters up at this point, at this pass. And there's a whole parade for performance all day going on in the middle of the Himalayas. And it's like people getting dressed up in masks and colorful costumes, lots of music, dancing, eating food, good times. And yeah, you kind of just go in and you can be there all day. I think I was there for 3 hours, but I think the whole point of it for that festival is to commemorate the royal family, but also the 4th king. So they're on the 5th king now, but the 4th king, the one before, he's still alive. He gave it to his son about, I want to say like 20 years ago, possibly ish, maybe 10, 15 years ago. But in that time, they had an insurgency in the south from India. So they got their armed forces together and went to fight him off. And the king went with them and fought in the battle, right? So he's quite a well-known person, obviously, because he's in the royal family, but he's also very well liked because he helped Bhutan stay as a sovereign nation, right? So they commemorate this every year. And he set this festival up to commemorate in December. And yeah, it's just pretty cool. You see all the armed forces, but also all the local people as well. So it's not just military. And that was an incredible experience. The music's great. The guides are explaining like different types of performances for each part of their culture. So you get to learn what I think they probably like dance for 15, 20 minutes and they swap over for a new one. So it's relentless, but it's good fun. Yeah. And they normally have some high ranking officials there from the society. So I think the 4th king's got like 4 wives, I think. I think the 3rd one was there and some parliament official was there as well. And they're very well liked and respected. So lots of crowds were forming around them as they've done the rounds in the crowd and stuff. So yeah, pretty cool.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, nothing like, going to a different place and getting to experience their like celebration culture. That is so awesome. I mean, we lucked out also when we went to Peru. It was in the summer, which is when they were doing their like college graduations in
Ah,
Cusco, and it was every single day. We were like, "Do they stop partying?"
Yeah.
It was
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, there was a parade. There was either a parade or a festival or something happening every single day we were there.
Yeah, it was so cool.
And I realized that here in the States, we don't have that. We don't
Yeah.
celebrate like that, It's just so festive in these other places around the world, and they really, I don't know, they seem to get more out of life.
Yeah,
That's just how I feel.
I think they're more proud of their country, maybe sometimes. I don't know. I was there for another celebration was National Day, which was totally unplanned. I didn't realize I was there for National Day, which is there like I guess they're July the 4th, right? It's the same thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sure.
So I was in the capital Thimphu, and I was like, oh wow, like there's a performance going on at the National Stadium. I wonder if I can go in. So at this point, I was supposed to be on the hike, but I cancelled the hike because it's too cold. I wasn't going to sleep in tents in -3 degrees. No chance. In the altitude, no chance. So I asked my guides and the company, can I just explore Thimphu and Paro on my own? They're like, yeah, that's fine. Like, you don't need the guides. You can just stay in a hotel in each place and explore on your own. So, oh, great. So I don't need a guide for 3 or 4 days, which is pretty cool. I love my guides, but you're kind of free to go and explore wherever you want. So I went to the stadium and I asked the police official, can I go in? He's like, yeah, go in. It's fine. And it's basically all morning of different schools kind of performing, I guess, like cultural national dances, like on a big soccer pitch, huge.
Uh-huh.
So that was pretty incredible to watch. And normally in Thimphu, every year they have the royal family. So I thought the royal family would be there. But that year, so last year, was the first year they went somewhere else. So that was pretty unlucky. But yeah, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
Man, you
Yeah.
just missed him.
Yeah.
Hey, but that's 2 celebrations in one trip, so I'd say you made out pretty good.
Yeah.
Yes, and I did get lucky on my flight back to Bangkok because the current king was on it, the flight. So that was that made up
Oh,
for it. Yeah, that
No
was pretty cool.
way.
wow. Was he in
Yeah.
like first class or?
They yeah, it's interesting, right? Because they're carbon negative. I thought he'd have his own, I don't know, jet or
Plane?
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But the guy, so I had a guy sit next to me who's part of his entourage. I was quite close to the front, and they have like a little business class, so they're kind of in there. And I started to speak to this guy. I don't know, he's some sort of aide because he kept going to check on him. I didn't believe him at first. I said, "Oh, who's in there?" He goes, "Oh, that's the king." I'm like, "What, the fourth king, the older one?" He goes, "No, no, no, the current king." I'm like, "What?" As in, the current king is, yeah, him and his wife are through there. I said, "What? Why?" He said they're going
Yeah.
to Thailand to accept an award and stuff. And yeah, so I started asking him a load of questions. And I said, "Oh, I thought that he would have his own private aircraft." He goes, "Oh, no, 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 no. We are carbon negative. We don't believe in damaging the environment that much. So he's got to be seen, I guess, to fly with the people, right? That's the
Right.
message."
Yeah.
I
Well,
was like, "Okay, that
that's a
makes
good
sense."
leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So him and his wife were in the business class. I was trying to get like a sight of them, but I couldn't really see him that well. But I was speaking to this guy for 30 minutes and he was really nice. And yeah, we're kind of talking about Bhutan as a country. He asked about my travels in the country. I told him to pass on my regards to the king and the queen. He said, "Yeah, I will." So that's cool. That was good.
Yeah.
That was a fun trip. Yeah.
That is very cool.
Well, that's what are the chances that your flight back you're happen to be on the same flight as the king?
Yeah. Well, there's always commotion at the start. I don't really know what was going on. People didn't know why we're delayed and why we had to stop off in India first and then go to Bangkok. Real
Mhm.
unknown. And all these people at the front, like military guys and
Right.
people dressed in like different colored dress, which is like symbolizing like high society. And I was like, "Oh, what is going on? Must be someone famous or something, right?" But I didn't
Right.
expect the king and the queen. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. That's I mean, that on its own, I feel like you got so many great stories of this trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
Tiger's Nest was incredible as well, which is like the number one thing to do
yeah, I was just
in
Yeah.
about to
Bhutan.
ask about that. How was that? Because you did that was your second day there?
Yeah, it's it was quick going. Yeah, I'm not too bad at hiking. I'm not the best hiker, but I'm not the worst.
Mhm.
I think, like I said, I was a bit nervous about it, but actually, in hindsight, it's actually quite moderate
Okay.
if you're good with the altitude. So you do hike up from 2,500 meters to 3,100 meters in the end. But if people don't know what this place is, it's a monastery built into a cliff. So if you
Mhm.
put Tiger's Nest in Google, people are going to see this like
Mhm.
cliff that hangs on. This temple that hangs onto this cliff, and you can go in it and visit it, but you have to hike there. So it
Mhm.
takes about 2 hours from the parking lot to the temple. Halfway up, there's a cafe. They serve great proper coffee, like Americanos and lattes and stuff, and you can sit there with a coffee and look at this temple in the distance. It's pretty incredible. And then you
That is
just
awesome.
walk up to the top and get your photos. And then there's no cameras allowed in the temple, so then you walk down and up into the temple. You hand your phone and your camera in to a locker, and then you get the guided tour by your guide for an hour, and you get to meet some monks if you're lucky, walking around. So pretty intense in terms of the day because you're learning about all the stuff. It's a 2 hour hike up and probably an hour and a half down. Lots of photos. Quite a few people is probably where you're going to see the most tourists. So yeah, it was an incredible experience, and that kind of is a 1 day activity. Like you won't do anything else that day, and I certainly didn't. So yeah, that's kind of what I put at the end, just to tire you out at the end and finish on a high.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's, kind of like you go up and then back, or do you have options where you can stay there or nearby?
No, only monks can stay in the temple, and
Mhm.
there's no accommodation on the main hike. There is another hike you can do at the back of the mountain, but it's an overnight hike, so you probably would start somewhere else and hike in tents for the night. But there's actually no accommodation near this place, so it is like in and out for the day. So there's no rush really, because no point rushing to get up there. If you start early enough and you get there by like, I don't know, 11 a.m., great. You can spend an hour there, go back down for a coffee at the cafe. It's like pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of it, and it looks incredible. Like you said, it's built like into the mountain. And I've seen videos of it, and I saw a video where a couple hiked up to it, and at like the bottom, I guess the trailhead, there was a dog, like a stray dog, and it followed them like all the way to the top. Like it followed them the whole way of the hike, all the way up
Oh, wow.
to the temple itself. Yeah, I thought that was funny. Um, but yeah, it looks incredible. And so the monks that are a part of that monastery, a part of that temple, they just obviously are very welcoming, but they just stay up there the whole time.
Yeah, they're kind of like preaching and learning and reciting Buddha. You literally just see him in the corner, just they're kind of rocking back and forth with their book, right? Almost like
Uh-huh.
you can interact, but they're almost like kind of in their own world a little bit, just doing their own thing. So it's pretty
Right.
authentic. They're not there to like speak to tourists, but you can go up to them
Right.
and say hello. It's not a problem. But they're kind of there working in a sense, right? They live there, they study there, they do their religious stuff there, and yeah, the guys obviously know their stuff because they take people there every day. So it's like a pretty old temple. I think it's from the 1500s. I think, and it got burnt out in a fire, got rebuilt. Rinpoche, there's Buddha, then Rinpoche in Tibetan Buddhism. He's like the next one down. He built it and stayed there. I think he got slayed by a dragon, always attempt to get slayed by a dragon. So whatever the story is, there's stories attached to it. You kind of learn that in the temple by your guide, and then the monks are just there reading their script. So yeah, it's a pretty authentic experience. I know it's cliche in terms of Bhutan to see, but the actual experience in the temple, because there's no cameras and no phones allowed, you don't get the stuff on Instagram, right? Because you can't do it. You're not allowed to go in there with that. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can only see it with
Yeah.
your own eyes. Yeah.
It's kind of nice in some ways. On the one hand, you wish that you could have, take pictures or, have that keepsake to bring back or whatever. But on the other hand, it's like unplugging and it like forces you to be there in the moment rather than like kind of dealing with all your gear and trying to get the good shots and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I can appreciate an unplugged ceremony, for lack of a better
Yeah.
word.
And there's so much information you get told, like you don't want to be distracted. Like there's
Right.
an hour's worth of stuff your guide is telling you. So you kind of need to hone in and concentrate a little bit. And the best pictures and the videos are further up at the photo points. That's why people are there collecting the videos and photos, right? I mean, once you're in amongst it, you can't really take that good of content because you're in it. Like, it's like you're on a
Sure.
cliff.
Right.
You can't really get too much in there. So it's worth just not having your camera or video for an hour or two.
Well, and it's good that they actually take that stuff from you, because you know that people would still be in there taking photos or trying to take photos and videos.
Yeah.
I've been to the Cairo Museum, and they tell you you're not allowed to take photos of King Tut's burial mask, and
Mm-hmm.
they're very adamant about that. But it's like as soon as you walk in, it's just people with flashes taking photos of it.
Oh.
Tourists from all over the world, and so it's just one of those things that it's nice that they kind of force you to be in that moment, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same as the Sistine Chapel, I think, in the Vatican. No,
Mm.
when you're in there, I think it's no noise and no photos, but people still just like talk and no respect at all. Really, it's pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought I heard you say there was a hike that you didn't take, or did we already touch on that?
Yeah, I was planning to do like a hike into Ha, which is HAA, Ha, which is higher in altitude. It's like probably 3,000 meters up. And I was thinking about it on my trip, and I was like, oh, it gets really cold at night, lower in altitude. I'm like, can I imagine sort of hiking all day and you're kind of sweating a little bit, and then you get to the evening. I know there's a fire there, and I've got my guides and stuff. but you're going to get really cold and you're going to have a chill because of the hike. I'm like, oh, do I want to sleep in tents at -3? So I decided not to in the end, which I sort of slightly regret, but not. I think I'll go back another time and I'll do the hike. But at the time, I just didn't want to be in tents in that weather and that coldness. So I asked, can I just switch up my last 3-4 days? And they're very, very kind about it and said, yeah, they'll cancel the guides they had planned, and they sort of left me to it actually, which is a bit of a grey area. I mean, we talked at the start about needing a guide and a tour group. Well, the last 3 to 3.5 days, I had no guide and no tour group with me because I was on my own, staying in a hotel. I was going to dinner on my own, exploring Thimphu and Paro on my own. So it is possible once you're on your tour, and if the tour group allows you or agrees to do it, like they'll leave you for a couple of days to explore on your own. Not the done thing or not the thing that's done the most, but I think it's possible if you fancy just wandering around the capital city for a couple of days.
Yeah. Was there an extra cost or anything like that of changing it around, or were you able to kind of? It sounds like they were flexible and they allowed you to change it, but was it like a like for like cost, or was there any charge for changing it kind of mid trip?
The only charge for me, because I planned to do the hike over 2 nights, which would be intense, is I had to pay for a hotel for those 2 nights.
Sure.
Which I was happy to do because, believe it or not, day-to-day costs in Bhutan are super, super cheap. So like a 3-star hotel would be like $10-20 a night, something like that. So I said, yeah, that's absolutely fine. And obviously I went out to buy my own coffees and food, because when you buy your tour, that does include 3 meals a day and all the drinks. Coffees are extra, like good coffees, if you like. So yeah, I had to obviously feed myself, but honestly, like you pay nothing going to get if you want a burger or a local meal, it really isn't that expensive. So I was happy to do that. And then the last night I had booked anyway on the tour, and they let me stay in the hotel that was originally booked. So that was very kind of them. So yeah, not too much of a cost extra, but be aware that if you're going to change your tour, they might swap it for another hotel or another location, but just be prepared to say yes if they ask if you can outlay your hotel cost if they don't have one planned, especially in high season where hotels get booked out.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I think that's reasonable too, especially if you're
Yeah.
going from your accommodation was camping in a tent to now finding
Yes.
a hotel. I think that's more than reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a big expense. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So we talked about the Tiger's Nest Monastery. We talked about some of the temples that you got to go to, and I think that as far as this destination goes is the real, the real meat of the trip, or what it sounds like. But as far as the capital, and I'm trying to, how do you pronounce that?
Thimphu.
Thimphu. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the capital city like? I mean, does it have a nightlife? Is there clubs and bars? Is it more laid back? Is it more, local and spiritual?
So the Bhutanese love a drink. They do like to go out for a couple of alcoholic beverages in the evening. So you're definitely going to find a few bars and a couple of
Mhm.
clubs. So this is what's different between maybe like Nepal and Bhutan, because they're fairly similar in culture, is that the
Mhm.
Bhutanese eat meat. Nepalese tend to be vegetarian, and alcohol is not widely consumed by locals in Nepal. Tourists can obviously drink alcohol, it's fine, but maybe in Kathmandu you might find some locals drinking, but other than that, not too much. But the Bhutanese, everywhere I went, they're always offering me beer and wine. So the owner of the tour group invited me to his house for a dinner. So I got to meet the crew who work at his company and him. He's called Kinley. Funny guy, actually. And he drinks a lot. Like he was smashing down wine like no tomorrow when I was there. And
Mhm.
yeah, for 4 hours I was at his house. Like there is a plethora of choice of alcohol, wine, beer, spirits, the whole lot. So if you're looking for a drink, and there's a couple of breweries in Thimphu as well, if you're looking for that, definitely available to put that in your tour if you want a brewery tour. And there's also a vineyard actually in Bhutan. If people didn't know that, it's a brand new one. I interviewed the guy who owns it. He started it about 6 years ago, and he's still going, building the grapes.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
creating the first bottles of wine. So there's that culture there for sure. And Thimphu as a capital, it's a mix. You're going to find spiritual places on the edge. There's some great lookout points over the city. Like Buddha Dordenma is one of the biggest Buddhas in the world. You can go and get a taxi up there if you're on your own, or if not, the guides will take you on your tour. It's a huge golden Buddha stands over or sits over Thimphu. That's an amazing sight. And in the middle of the capital city, you have the National Stadium, the National Museum. So there's that sort of tourist stuff as well. So yeah, a real mix, like almost like as cosmopolitan as it gets for Bhutan.
Right.
Great coffee as
Yeah.
well. Good coffee if you like your coffee.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the coffee because when you mentioned the Tiger's Nest Monastery, you said like halfway up there's that cafe you can get a proper coffee. The proper word caught me off guard. I was like, oh, do they have improper coffee elsewhere in Bhutan?
I'm a bit of a coffee snob. No, I meant proper coffee. I mean like machine coffee. So you can order like a latte with espresso shots and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just wondering about the vibe of the capital city because it's like you said, it's kind of a mix. And I know, going back to like Thailand, it's, Bangkok there's temples everywhere and Watts and it's very spiritual, but there's also like clubs everywhere and parties and women and all those kinds of things. So it's a real interesting like dichotomy in a lot of these countries where they're very spiritual in one sense, and then but you don't have to go too far to find kind of that wild nightlife mix.
Yeah, I don't think Thimphu would be as wild as Thailand. I think you'd just be finding a couple of bars to have some drinks, and the locals will stay out quite late. But I don't think you'll find like the Khao San Road of Bangkok style in Thimphu. Definitely not.
Right.
They're trying to. Is that fair to me to say that? I was going to say they're trying to avoid that sort of reputation. Maybe like they don't want to be known as like a cheap destination to go and do that sort of stuff. That's why it costs so much money to go there.
Right.
But they're not
Sure.
adverse to a drink, so I think there's a mix. I don't think you'll find it too crazy, but you can have a few drinks and stay out quite late. I think for sure.
Right. Well, it's probably good that they're trying to distance themselves from that because as much as I love Thailand, it does definitely have its issues. And I mean, I see videos just about daily of people fighting in the streets and
Oh
it's,
yeah, grim.
So, but yeah.
No fighting in Bhutan. No fighting. They're too nice. The people are just too spiritual for that. Like that would be like against what they like really believe in. Which is, to be fair, most of the country believes in Buddhism. Maybe some of the younger generation might be a little bit switched off because they're emigrating out of the country. But on the whole, you're not going to find that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and that kind of brings me to my next point is this trip, aside from all the cool things you got to do and everything, it seems like, kind of going back to the spiritual aspect of it, it seems like it was a very spiritual trip. And I don't obviously know your personal beliefs or religion or anything like that, but just from looking at it in that way, like, did you feel that being there? Did you feel any sort of like spirituality or anything from being there? Just,
Yeah, I think the Himalayas are my favorite part of the world. So I think I do have a affinity to the area. I'm not religious or spiritual, but if I was to pick a place, it would be probably there or Nepal. Probably more Bhutan, actually. And I asked the monk on my interview, I said, do you worry about people who don't believe in spirituality and not just Buddhism, but in God in general? And he sort of said, yeah, he worries about people who don't believe in it, like what's going to happen to them. And he worries that they would spread that amongst the population, like, non-believers, if you like. So yeah, quite an interesting chat. But I did feel every day you're probably going to go to a temple. I mean, expect that in Bhutan, at least next to one, but definitely in one. I mean, I went to quite a few zongs. They're called zongs, Dzongs. They're like big religious buildings, very impressive, huge temples. Like you can see some of them. They're pretty cool to see. So you are going to see them, whether you're driving past them in the hills, on the mountain roads, or just in general in Thimphu. You're going to see them everywhere. So I think it's pretty spiritual, and I got the feeling from the people that that's what they really believe in. And I got to learn more about that Tibetan Buddhism throughout my trip. And I think they're pretty stoic about it as well. Interestingly enough, I think they're pretty wise to the modern world. They understand their modern population are leaving to go and work in Australia, for example, because it's better money and better prosperity. But they totally believe they're all coming back eventually. They see it as an investment. They'll go back to Bhutan in 10 to 15 years after they've done their stint in Australia or wherever they migrate to. So they kind of do believe in their culture and society, but they understand the problems that we see in our countries, like lack of jobs or lack of good paying jobs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I had a question about like traveling while you were there. So you mentioned that you landed in Paro, but the capital is Thimphu. What's the distance between those two, and like how did you travel? Was it just by car or bus, or how'd you get around?
Yeah, your tour company will provide a minivan. It's a real comfortable, modern minivan. Yeah. And the roads are actually pretty decent compared to Nepal, for example, where they're shocking. So, yeah, they're not as good as Thailand, but they're not as bad as Nepal. And similar to India. So I think they're good roads. And the distance is about an hour between the two. The reason the airport is in Paro is because the valley flattens. So they build the airport there. It flattens out.
Right.
Whereas Thimphu is kind of a bit more in the hills. It's not a flat bit. It's kind of more, it's probably higher up in altitude, I'd imagine, actually, as well. But yeah, about an hour by road. It's pretty easy. Bhutan's pretty small if you stick in the valley. So if you go from Paro to Thimphu to Punakha, that's going to be a pretty easy 6-7 days in terms of driving. But if you go out into the hills, into the east, it's going to take a while. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, it always interests me because, wherever you're going, sometimes you can get around, easily with the taxis and stuff like that, or sometimes you have to, like,
Have 4-wheel drive.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They do have 4-wheel drives, actually. I think if you're just like on your own, or maybe it's a couple, and you just want one guide with you, you don't need like 3, whatever. I think they would. I know my tour company had like I saw it on one of the days had like a 4x4, so that is possible. And if you decide to go on your own for a couple of days, your guides will make sure you're okay. Like they'll give you their WhatsApp number. They'll just check in with you to make sure everything's okay. And I had to get back to Paro to fly out. So they knew someone who was driving between Thimphu and Paro. So I jumped in with this random guy for an hour, had a chat as I was going back to Paro. So yeah, real nice guy, and got to learn more about Bhutan and his life. So yeah, they're really nice people that they'll make sure you're okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And you said the culture is very similar to the culture in Nepal, but we didn't even touch on like the food yet. So,
oh yeah,
is it called
Bhutanese?
Yes, Bhutanese. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Makes
sense. We call it.
Love their spice. They love their spicy food.
So how similar is it to other food you've had in that area in other countries?
I'd actually say it's different. Yeah. So I'd say Nepalese and in northern Indian food is roughly the same, but Nepalese to Tibetan, Tibetan, yeah, it's kind of influencing it. But Bhutanese to Nepalese is actually quite different. I think the Bhutanese love their cheese and they love their chili, and they put it in everything, and they eat meat, right? So if you get like a chicken dish, you got chilies in it with some cheese. Cheese and chili and everything. So
that settles it. I like it.
Yeah. I like it, but I won't have it for breakfast. I draw the line. Lunch and dinner is fine, but breakfast is Western for me. I made sure that I said to him that I just want a bit of bread and some egg, not some rice.
Yeah, I heard you mention earlier, and I might be quoting you wrong, that lunch and dinner were the same thing, or is it like basically all the meals you have the same amount of options?
Yeah, the guides will eat the same thing for all 3 meals. But for their guests, they would probably have lunch and dinner roughly the same dishes. They might chuck in a few extra ones. And breakfast will still be rice with fried vegetables and egg. But I did request a little bit of just some like continental Western style, which they can provide as well, which would be like bread and butter and some toasted stuff. And I had baked beans one morning actually before the hike to Tiger's Nest. So that was a nice surprise. But yeah, I think if you just say to them that I love their food, but can I just have a Western breakfast each day, they'll be fine with that. Yeah. And for coffees, they don't necessarily have machine coffee in the hotels you stay at. Some do, some don't. If you're just driving day to day and you just need one, just let them know and they'll find a cafe with a machine coffee and they'll take you there. So that's a top tip as well if you're needing a caffeine fix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. That's one of our favorite things is, trying the cuisine in a new place. So it's exciting to hear about it from the Bhutanese. I think I listened to your podcast, and I want to say it was Indian and Chinese mixture. Is that what you? Okay, so I got it right.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think it's again, I've not been to China mainland, so it's hard to say it's Chinese, right? But I've been to Taiwan, I guess, which is fairly similar to southern China, I guess. But yeah, I think it's more probably Tibetan cuisine, which is of the China nowadays, not back in the day. Yeah, I think it's more leaning towards that than Indian food. There's a bit of Indian in there, but I'd say it's more Tibetan or Chinese for sure. And I think this chili cheese thing is probably unique to them. I think they just love frying chilies with cheese. I don't know what it is about why they have that all the time, but yeah. And they love their butter tea. I don't know if you had ever had butter tea before. Have you had that before?
No.
I don't like it. It's it's salty, savory tea. So the monk who I was interviewing, he was really nice. Can't speak much English. That's absolutely fine. But he's like, butter tea. I was like, yeah, got it. He goes, drink. Do you want some more? I was like, no, because I can't drink butter tea. I can have a few sips, but it's too much for me. And then they have milk tea as well, which is just as it says, milk tea, but it's not like black tea and you put your milk in it. It's all in one.
Right.
I don't like too much milk in my tea, so it's too milky for me. But I tried to be nice and say yes to everything that they had to offer. But on reflection, not a fan of butter tea. Milk tea is just about doable, and some places have coffee. So yeah, you need to figure out quickly how you're going to do that. Yeah, which is fair enough. But butter tea is their thing, and I don't like it. So worth trying once, I think. You might like it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was me in Egypt. The first day they started bringing me hibiscus tea, and
I don't
like
mind
it.
that tea. That's good. I don't mind that.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I thought it was terrible, and so after that, I was just having them bring me Egyptian Cokes.
Yeah, that is available. Not Egyptian, but like Coca-Cola is widely available. So
Right.
Yeah, if you need your Coke, it's
and
there.
it's always better in other countries too.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's glass bottled as well. Yeah.
So, aside from the Tiger's Nest hike, which, as you said, is kind of like one of the main things that you do when you go there, if somebody else was looking at taking a trip to Bhutan, what are some other what would you recommend they do if they were going to plan a trip there?
Yeah, I think the top 5 things would be Tiger's Nest is always going to be in there. Every tour company will add that in, so that's guaranteed.
Right.
I would try and go to a local festival if you can. Not all parts of the year have festivals, so you're going to have to look at the calendar. You can find it out online, but a local festival will get you right into the culture. So that's definitely number 2. I would always advocate for a homestay because you get to meet real local people who live day-to-day life, and it's not like put on anything. It's like totally home vibes and working vibes as well. So you're going to get a good idea of that. In Bhutan, you've got to go to Punakazong. So my tour company had a hotel on top of the hill, and you can see this huge structure in the distance, and it goes from daytime to nighttime. It changes the light. That is incredible. And going inside is amazing as well. I think the current king and his wife got married there, so it's a pretty cool place. Monks live there as well, so you're going to see some monks. That's pretty cool. I think the Buddha Dordenma in Thimphu is pretty a done thing to see because it sits over the top of the capital, and it's just a huge structure. Like, it's pretty popular. That's a must. And also, I quite liked visiting the nunnery. I went to a nunnery to speak to some female monks because that's a thing now. So I wanted to get an idea of how they see Buddhism, their role in society. Is it safe and all that sort of stuff. So I got to interview someone for 10 minutes, and she spoke great English. She was amazing. And she really told me everything that she had to had to say. So I think that's a good idea, just to get away from the man's world a little bit and just see it from a female perspective. I've done so much on my trip. Like, all of it was great. I think they're probably the main bits. Go to local restaurants as well. Make sure you do that, which they would organise as part of the tour. Yeah, I think, and I like my hiking. I like going to viewpoints. So a bit of walking in the hills outside of the Tiger's Nest Monastery, but like just some random walks. They're pretty good as well, just to get an idea of the countryside. Yeah, I think that was standing in good stead. Most people go for 6 days. The time between flights is a bit weird. So Bangkok, you might arrive on a Saturday night, but the next one going back is a Thursday. So you have to really like plan your trip with the daily fee. You have to decide how quick you want to be there. Sorry, how short your trip is or how long it is, depending on your budget. So you need to kind of do some math on that. But once you know your size of your trip in terms of days, you can plan it really as much as you want or as little as you want, depending on what you want to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good. I think that's a good amount. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think you planned a really awesome itinerary from the sounds of it, and I could just copy and paste that.
Yeah, I should probably put my itinerary app on my website. Really, I think I should, or on the podcast maybe. Yeah. I should put that up. Yeah, so people can have a good idea of what to expect for a 10-day, 11-night. 10-night, 11-day trip. Yeah, I should put that up.
Yeah, I think it'd be really interesting for people to hear. Anybody that is, maybe interested in visiting,
Yeah, or just wants to, hear the stories.
Right.
Yeah, I'm still doing my content, so there's still a few more to come out. So I'm almost there. I think end of February I'll have all my Bhutan content released on the podcast and YouTube. So there's both forms. If people want to see it or hear about it, they can do both or one or the other. So yeah,
absolutely. Well, we look forward to it.
Yeah. Where are you heading next?
Next. Internationally, at the minute, as we speak today, I'm going to French Polynesia. That's in September.
Okay.
But it might not be the first place this year, but I'm still in talks with a few people to decide where to go. It could be collaborations or it could be other places. I haven't really got anything locked in before then, definitely yet. So yeah, French Polynesia, September is locked in, and local travel before that. But there could be a few more options, but I haven't decided yet.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Where are you guys based?
We're in the U.S. and South Carolina.
Oh, okay. Yeah, South Carolina. I think I got some friends in North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
we're not far.
Yeah.
She works in North Carolina. So.
I do, yeah.
Oh, okay, nice.
Live kind of near the border. Where are you based? You're in Pacific time, right?
Yeah, I'm in Vancouver in Canada.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
She used to live in Canada too.
I did for briefly. Briefly, we lived in Newfoundland up in Wabash.
Oh, wow. That's on my list to go to. Oh, that's high on my list. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool up there. I mean, literally, it's really cold up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. And I think we did an episode on a brief episode on Canada on like our experiences there. And when I was young, my dad, his company was based out of Vancouver, and so we went up. It was right before the 2010 Winter Olympics, so we went up there, and then actually got to go like ski at Whistler.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Yeah, there's no snow this year.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, it's just apparently it's been the worst one in 20 years in terms of the snow. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate you coming on and taking the time with us to share about your experiences. This was really awesome. It was really great to meet you too.
Yeah, it's been an awesome chat. And if anyone's got any questions, they can just send me a message and I'll answer them about Bhutan. I'll share what I know. And yeah, thanks for inviting me. It's been a great chat, and hopefully you guys will go to Bhutan soon as well. That'd be great.
Maybe.
You definitely piqued our interest.
Yeah.
It took 5 years for me to get there, so it's a long process.
Yeah.
Start the clock 5
Yeah.
years from now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Well,
takes a
I
bit of
think we
planning.
mentioned the name. We mentioned the name of your podcast at the beginning, but you want to plug any of your socials, or where can people find your stuff?
Okay, yeah, podcast is called Winging It Travel Podcast. That's on
Mhm.
all the apps. YouTube, it's called Roaming with Hamo. So my last name's Hammond, but you can shorten that to 5 letters, Hamo. Different content, but same trips. So it depends what you want. Do you want visual or do you want audio? And then on Instagram, it's Winging It Travel Podcast. I do sort of have Facebook, Winging It Travel Podcast, but I don't really go on it much. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. My podcast is part of a network called Voyescape. So you can go to voyescape.com. There's lots of travel podcasts on there, different types of travel podcasts, covering different areas of the world or different types of travel. So that's a good resource as well if you want to dip on there. But yeah, that's pretty much about it.
Alrighty.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks so much, James.
Yeah. Thank you, James.
Cheers. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, everybody, that was our conversation with James. We hope that you enjoyed listening to his experience. And bonus, if you found this episode sparked your interest in planning or researching a trip to Bhutan. And like I said, that's it for this week. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll go ahead and share our social medias. You can find us, Temporary Locals, on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Also on Instagram at Temporary Locals Podcast. You can find Jared on Instagram at Rover_Stover and at Rover Stover on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook at Mego Goes Global. I didn't tell you guys how last time.
No, you didn't. I noticed that after.
And you can find James. I know he shared some of it, but he also shared it with us. So I wanted to share Winging It travelpodcast.com, voyescape.com, like he mentioned. The Winging It podcast is on Apple and Spotify, and you can also find his YouTube channel is Roaming with Hamo. And once again, we can't thank James enough for coming on our podcast. That was an awesome conversation, learning about, a new place. And with that, if you guys learned something or you enjoyed the episode, we'd love it if you would give it a share, give it a like, comment, leave a review, all the things. And with that,
I'm Jared.
and I'm Megan. Thanks for exploring with us.
And remember, be a local anywhere you go.
Bye.
Bye.